Welcome back. Day 11, June 17th, page 21 and 22. Now, some of you looked ahead and you went, Monty, really? Did you see what's on here? Now, page 21. Now you're looking at page 21. This is a culmination of your entire math career. Every skill you've ever had to use is on this page. This will probably be a pretty long video. Couple of minutes for each of the problems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So, I'm going to have a series. I'm going to do the entire page. Feel free to take notes. Because if you look at page 22, it's the same idea. 5 different problems, 5 different methods. Okay? This is a way to raise your grade. We're going to finish the year off a bang. You didn't think I was just going to ride off into the sunset without making you sweat a little bit, did you? Okay, so let's get started. We're on page 21, and it says, pick a method. 5 different problems, pick a method. How can we solve it? Okay, so here we go. First of all, mathematics, real world problems. We're trying to find the factors. We're trying to find the zeros. We're trying to find the x-intercepts. We're trying to find the solutions. If you click on photo math on any of these problems, almost everyone's going to use the quadratic formula. So you could do the quadratic formula on every problem if you want. I'm going to try to avoid it as much as possible to see if there's other strategies. Okay, so the very first one I see, I'm seeing a number. Remember, balance the equation? I'm going to move the number over. I see a multiplication. I'm going to divide. I see a square. Just take the square root of both sides. Poof. There's the answer. Not that big a deal. Okay? So, pick a method. I'm going to write solve. That's our method. We're just going to solve it. We're not going to use any other strategy. Okay? So here we go. Very first thing is I'm going to draw that line. Remember our little balance line? Add 98 to both sides. Draw the line. 2x minus 3 squared equals 98. 98 minus 98 went away. Okay? Now this next step, squared, think reverse PEMDAS. What's the opposite of PEMDAS? First we do inside, we do the exponent, so the opposite. Divide both sides by 2. We've got to get that parenthesis by itself. Okay? Divide both sides by 2. X minus 3 squared equals 49. Ooh, I'm liking that. 2 divided by 2 went away. The reason I like that is because I know how to undo a squared. What's the opposite of squared? Check your calculator. The squared button, second x squared, what is underneath that? The radical sign. The square root of both sides. Now remember, when you take the square root of both sides, we have to have the plus or minus. So, what just happened? When you take the square root of a squared, you get itself. When you take the square root of a number, you get the plus or minus. There's our 2 answers. We're going to add 3 to both sides. Now, x equals positive 7 plus 3 and positive 7 minus 3. Okay? So see that there's two ways to do it. Plus 7 plus 3, plus 7 minus 3. So our 2 solutions are 10, 4. Okay? 10 and 4. And you could have typed that into a calculator. Poof. Okay? Now, just for the fun of it, since we've been talking about the zeros, the x-intercepts, the solutions, let's write out the factors. X minus 10 x minus 4. Okay? And some of you might even recognize that that was the vertex 4. All right. Let's go to number 2. Number 2. 5x squared minus 3x plus 2. Got to pick a method. Quadratic formula works every time. Let's try to avoid it. Now, the first thing I see is 5 and 2. This negative reminds me that 5 minus 2 is 3. Let's see if we can use that. You know what? I'm going to change that thinking there. Remember how we talked about two things that multiply to 10 add to negative 3. What are things that multiply to 10? Two times 5. Is that going to work for us? Things that multiply to 10 add to 3. I don't think we can get it, can we? Because 2 plus 5 is 7. That's not a negative 10. That's not going to work. Oh, man. Going to have to start over, aren't we? This might be one that we just have to rely on the quadratic formula. A equals 5, B equals negative 3, C equals 2. Yep. Let's just use the quadratic formula. We're good at it now, right? X equals negative 3 plus or minus square root negative 3 squared minus 4 times 5 times 2, all divided by 2 times 5. 2 times 5. You can see that the rag right there, just make mistakes. Use the eraser. It's okay. So negative and negative is a positive. Negative and negative is a positive. 3 times 3 is 9. Negative. Okay. 4 times 5 times 2. 4 times 5 times 2. 20, 40. All divided by 2 times 5 is 10. 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 31. Square root of a negative 31. That's all right. Two answers. 3 plus the square root of negative 31 divided by 10. 3 minus the square root of 31 divided by 10. Now, that is the right answer. Serious. Type it into PhotoMath. Check it out. Go to your calculator. Type it in. 5x squared minus 3x plus 2. Graph it. Whoa. Whoa. Something like that. Put a question mark there. Put a question mark there. You used all of your math skills and you got the right answer. But we don't understand it because in Algebra 2, we learn about non-real solutions. When it doesn't touch the x-axis, when we don't have actual x-intercepts, these are called imaginary solutions. All right? So, there's 1 and 2. Phew! See you in a minute when we do 3 and 4. Okay, now, we're on this crazy page, solving quadratics with all these different strategies. We've done problem 1 and 2. Now, let's look at problem number 3. Problem number 3. First of all, we want to find the zeros. I've got to move this over. Okay? So let's just do this real quick. Minus 13, I draw the line. And I get x squared minus 12x minus 13 equals 0. Those are the ones I like. Okay? Boom, 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 boom. The reason I like that is because I know things that multiply to x squared. X. I know things that multiply to negative. One's negative, one's positive. Okay. Now, can you see things that multiply to negative 13 adds to negative 12? Multiply to negative 13, add to negative 12. 1 times negative 13, 1 minus 13, 1 plus a negative, negative 13, negative 13, positive 1. Two things that multiply to negative 13, but adds to negative 12. Now, we had standard form. We have the factors, which means we know the zeros, we know the x-intercepts, we know the solutions. What's the opposite of a negative 13? Positive 13. What's the opposite of positive 1? Negative 1. Use a calculator. Type it in. I'll bet you at negative 1 it crosses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It crosses. It's positive. Bet you get a smiley face. All right, that one didn't take as long. Look at number 4. The first thing is we got to move this thing over, right? Okay, let's kind of slide this over here and see what we get. Slide that over, see what we get. Minus 8, minus 8. 5x squared minus 18x minus 8 equals 0. Okay? Now over here, I just use guess and check. Some of you might say, split the middle term, no problem. What do you think here? Negative 40, negative 18. Things that multiply to negative 40 add to negative 18. Now, we already did one using the quadratic formula, okay? Easy. Positive 5, negative 18, negative 8, use the quadratic formula. But I wanted to use all 5 strategies, okay? So, things that multiply to negative 40 add to negative 18. Okay? Now, 2 and 20 are the numbers we're looking for. Okay? Now, I'm going to use a positive 2 times a negative 20, positive 2 plus a negative 20. Okay? Now, this is the formal version of split the middle term. Okay? So we're going to split the middle term. Okay, splitting the middle term. Bring down the 5x squared. Bring down the negative 8. And we strategically chose to split the middle term in such a way so as to solve the problem. Two numbers that multiply to negative 40 and adds to negative 18. Okay, draw a little fence. All right, so can you see what's common to 5x squared and 2x? There's only one thing that's common, the letter x. Factor it out. X, 5x plus 2. Check your work. 5x times x is 5x squared. 2 times x is 2x. Go to the other side. Now this one, wow. How can I factor something out of here to make it look like this? How many items are between these two? 20x, 5x. 5 times what is 20? 4. Now I'm going to pull out a minus 4, leaving 5x. How many negative 4s and negative 8? Positive 2. Now this is the one that confuses most students, okay? Splitting the middle term, I get it. 5x plus 2 is common to both. Pull that out, pull that out. What's left? X minus 4, leaving x minus 4. There's our factors. Using this concept of splitting the middle term, you could always use the quadratic formula, okay? But by splitting the middle term, we got the answer. Now, let's go one step further. We know the opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. What number makes this 0? Let's go off to the side and do that. 5x plus 2 equals 0. Negative 2, negative 2. 5x equals negative 2. Divide both sides by 5. The actual answer here is negative 2 over 5. Again, use your Webbit, type it in, and I'll bet you're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 2 over 5, negative 2 over 5. Somewhere about right here. Positive. Okay, so now, the first one, we just solved it, taking the square root of both sides. The second one, okay, remember the second one? We tried to split the middle term, it didn't work, we had to use the quadratic formula. Number 3, just guess and check, we factored. Number 4, splitting the middle term. Let me clear the board and we'll do the very last one and we'll do it graphically. See you in a minute. Okay, welcome back. We're on our last problem. Yes, the next to the last day. Okay, it's Wednesday, day 11, it's June 17th, and I waited till now to make this one of our toughest days. This is going to be a full 20-minute video, I get it. All right, the very last problem, number 5. X squared minus 2x equals 3. We've used the quadratic formula, we split the middle term, we used guess and check, we solved using the square root of both sides. Can we do this graphically? Okay, well the very first thing is, if we're looking for the zeros, let's set this equal to 0. Minus 3 minus 3. X squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. We could type that into a calculator. Serious. Okay? We just go in there, we make a table, and we find where is it equal to 0. Okay? At the same time, I bet you some of you recognize this already. Things that multiply to x squared. X, x. Things that multiply to a negative. Negative, positive. Okay? Now, what are things that multiply to 3? 1 and 3. 1, 3, 3, 1. This is determined by the negative 2. In order to get a negative 2, that has to be negative 3. That has to be positive 1. Negative 3 times positive 1 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. Now, we could have typed it into a calculator, and we could have discovered by looking at the table. Okay? At the same time, what's the opposite of positive 1? Negative 1. What's the opposite of a negative 3? Positive 3. Let's just graph everything. Let's just finish this perfect. The y-intercept, right? 1, 2, 3. The y-intercept is at negative 0, comma, negative 3. This is an x-intercept. This is an x-intercept. This is a solution. This is a solution. This is a 0. This is a 0. All right? So now, it's positive. So we know it opens up. How can we find our vertex? You guys remember how to do that? Negative 1, positive 3. Where's the line of symmetry? In the middle of the zeros. What's halfway? What's halfway? In 1, in 1, in 1, in 1. At x equals 1, we have the line of symmetry or the axis of symmetry. Okay? Well, x equals 1. Plug it in. Plug it in. Let's plug it in. 1 minus 3. 1 plus 1. Negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. The vertex, 1 comma negative 4. 1 comma negative 4. Isn't that neat? All of your math, everything, was on this sheet of paper. X plus 1, x minus 4. 3. Okay. Thanks for putting up with all that. Thanks for enjoying that. Hopefully you watched all the way to the end of that video. That finished page 21. If you'd like to raise your grade, try each of the problems on the next page. Shoot me a photo. Serious. You're going to need all of these skills for Algebra 2 next year. Okay? So that completes day 11. Whew. Now, when you join me tomorrow on day 12, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, I had you create nested trays, nested boxes. This is what we put our popcorn in. You remember that a couple weeks ago on activity day? Okay, tomorrow we're going to actually discover the math behind nested boxes and which one of these holds the most volume. That's how we're going to finish the year. Have a great Wednesday, and I'll see you tomorrow.